territories, how you're using your RPData. I could guarantee you, if you look at an apple and the little stem that sticks out from an apple, by the time I'm done today, you'll realise you're only using the stem part of the apple. RPData is a very, very powerful prospecting tool. Whew. Hang on, I ran.
Take a breath, take a breath.
You wouldn't think she gets on the treadmill for 15 k's at a stint, would you? Okay. On your no, not in heels. On your dashboard, there is a panel called RP Prospector. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Does it turn up on your dashboard?
Yes.
So nobody's customised their dashboard and removed it because they can't get to it? Great. This will give you instant access by suburb to withdrawn listings, listings over 60 days, and the Finding Leads tab is all about people who are statistically likely to come onto the market within the next 12 months. It's pretty cool, isn't it? So I'm going to explain how to use this. Do you all work with territories?
Yes.
Okay, I'll also show you how to apply direct marketing to your territories. So we're going to cover off on a few different areas. This new component that's been added on, or will be added onto your RPData, has 5 ways in which you can use it. So let's look at the prospecting panel as the first 3 ways. Then we'll look at territory mapping and how you can use it in your territory. And then I'll also show you how to use direct marketing. This is an opt-in marketing list. People have actually given permission to be contacted. I'll show you how to refine that list so that you're predominantly dealing with owner-occupiers. Have we got any property management in here? No. Okay.
I was going to ask questions about that, so if you can tell me a little bit about it as well.
I'll mention the PM side of it as I go through. Okay, so the first thing you do is withdrawn listings. And by the way, guys, anything in RPData that has a question mark, if you just wave your mouse over that question mark, an interpretatory bubble appears. But a withdrawn listing, according to RPData, is somebody who's been on the market in the previous 365 days to today's date. So it's rolling. Tomorrow it'll be a different number. And they haven't had any marketing activity for the last 100 days. And there's been no declaration of the property having been sold. So we know there's some agencies in the surrounding suburbs that don't report, Genman style agents. So in those instances, their listings get bundled into withdrawn listings. So it doesn't let you off the hook as the local area expert. So if I was to drop names, we know Botany Park, for example, doesn't report.
No,
So,
they just don't make any sales, please.
so what do? We click on withdrawn listings, and this particular panel can only be used by suburb. Okay, and knowing the ethos of this company, I know you'll all respect each other's territories. So let's look at Frankston. And the first place it actually takes me to is my direct marketing tab. At the moment, you guys don't have that. That's what's going to come up, okay? There are 47 people in the withdrawn listings who have opted in. They have specifically given permission to be contacted. And it means that you can use here on this side, we have a rental status. This is important, pay attention. Rental status, we look at the properties that have rental histories attached to them, as well as properties that have 0 rental histories attached to them. So an unlikely rental is highly likely to still be an owner-occupier. And because it's withdrawn listings, some of them may indeed have already gone off to rental and the people have moved on. So it pays, particularly with withdrawn listings, to check the box that says unlikely rental and then refine.
Who have they got the permission to follow? Who are the people giving? How do they
So initially, it used to be people that entered competitions. Who's ever been to the Caravan and Camping Show and has filled out a form to win a Winnebago? See, that's why I had too many coffees this morning, because I wouldn't be able to say that otherwise. That's right. When you enter a competition, whether it be on Facebook, any other online forum, paper competitions at trade shows, things like that, though you actually tick a box saying you agree to the terms and conditions. And
Don't read them, but you just
buried in that really little micro print, you're actually giving permission to be contacted, and you're also giving permission for your data to be on-sold.
So you buy the data.
We spend more money than any other data company in Australia, buying these lists, cross-matching them with our properties, working out who's on the do not call, who's on the do not mail register, who's opted in, who's opted out. So, and then we marry it all up and put it into some sort of usable format for you. But in addition to that, we've now done a deal with another data company based in Sydney. We actually share a floor in our head office with them. And this data company does very, very detailed data. So if you went to buy a Toyota Camry, for example, Toyota would have everything about you. How many children, how many dogs, how many cats. And this company is the ones that provide that very detailed data. If you wanted to know how many men with beards, for example, were living in Carrum Downs, this data company would be able to tell you. So we got an email as staff in February saying that since this other data company has been bought into the direct marketing arm of our data has actually improved by 78%. So it's a broader data, it's more accurate, and we are hoping that we will be able to have email addresses. But we've just got our legal department, we've got them, but we've just got our legal department working around the spam laws, the electronic transmission laws, and all the other laws. And once that's all been, what do they call it, white papered or blue papered? Once that's all been sorted, we'll be able to make email addresses available as well. So it's pretty cool.
Can I just make a point on that? I understand and accept what you're saying. However, at the point of call, which is these people here, they're getting on the phone, and then when they get asked, because it happens every time, how did you get my details?
Yes.
What do we start rambling on about? You tick the box and this and that. You
No,
didn't really, so
it's not your argument to buy into,
I
Arthur.
get that, but they're thinking, how did Eview get those details?
Sure. So I'll give you the line, I'll give you the script.
Sure.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Jones, thank you for your inquiry or your letter or your email or your phone call. We as real estate agents have to subscribe to certain data programs, and one of those data programs has provided us with your information. At some point in time, you may have opted in or out. If you're not happy about that, please give RPData a call, give them our customer care team's number. Don't buy into the argument with them, because it's not your argument to have. We have trained experts who can talk them through it and tell them what they need to do if they want to be removed from those lists.
Fair enough.
Okay? And then send them a thank you card and add them to your Christmas card list. I would. So there's 24 individuals here. We started with an initial number of 47. Can any of you, or do you know where I've got those numbers from? I know it's plain stating the bleeding obvious, but up in this tab, see this number in brackets? This is how much information we have. So we started out with 47 records. After I applied the unlikely rental filter to it, we came back with 24 data records. So there's 24 people who are still highly likely to be owner-occupiers, who have been on the market at some point in the previous 365 days to today's date, and they still haven't sold and they're off the market. Prime targets.
Yeah, that 14 brand, you know, that's actually incorrect because it has sold.
Has it?
Yeah.
It happens. Sometimes it happens.
No,
When
I'm
did
not
it
trying
sell?
to be an idiot.
Yeah.
I know that property did sell with Harcourts. They didn't put it through as a sale price because that's next to my friend's home.
Okay.
And I tried to find a price for him and couldn't find one.
Okay, that's
So,
interesting.
Yeah.
As I said before, it doesn't get you off the hook of being the local area experts. Okay? You had a question?
Do you know how many agents within our immediate area that are using this?
No, I don't exactly, because I've only been territory manager since last year, and I don't know what every agency in Frankston is up to. I have all of South East Vic and Tassie to look after. So, but it's one thing to have it. It's another thing to actually use it. So even if every agency, which nobody has 100% strike rate unless they're bloody Jesus, you know, unless every agency's on it, there's still no guarantee that 80% of them are even using it properly. I can tell you, you're the first group in Frankston I've trained on it, so that might give you a heads up. At least you guys will have an edge over your opposition because you'll have been trained properly.
I think Martin uses it.
I honestly couldn't tell you. So you've got 24 individuals here. What do you do with them? Well, you select all. And you'll notice at the bottom of my screen now, I have a grey bar here, and I have an option to export it out in a CSV format or Microsoft Excel. So the idea is that you click on Export to CSV. Every one of you with a login will now be able to export up to 10,000 data records per month each. Before, you were limited to, I think, around 200. So this is really going to ramp up your prospecting opportunities because you'll have so many more exports available to you. As you can see here, it keeps count. It tells me, or it doesn't tell me because it's a new month, but normally it would say I've got 10,000 here, I've selected X amount, and I've exported X amount this month. So you can keep track of it. I can also choose all contacts or one contact per property. So we know particularly within certain cultures, a group of them will come together and buy a property. So you may wish to target just one of those people, or you may wish to target every ownership name on the property. So they're your options. Oh, here we go, now it's loaded. There's my numbers. And if I choose to export it, it'll come up in an Excel format. And the export and the way the filters and the refinements all work the same, regardless of whether you're working on withdrawn listings, finding leads, or listings over 60 days. Okay, so it's exactly the same methodology that you'd apply to export and extract that data. Internet's a bit slow.
Yeah.
Is it school holidays?
Well.
Is it school holidays? It's too early. The little buggers wouldn't be up yet anyway.
No.
I usually find no matter where I am in the state, usually around 20 to 4, it just slows down to a grinding halt. And I think, oh, all those bloody kids are out of school now. They're all on Facebook. They're slowing down my internet.
School holidays are next week.
Yeah. Okay. All mine are grown up, so I don't even have to think about it anymore. So as you can see here, I now have first name or initial, surname, property address, suburb, state, postcode, type of property, how many bedrooms, bathrooms and cars, phone numbers, including mobiles, if people are not on the do not call register. If they are on the do not call, it'll either come up as do not call, or if they haven't provided a phone number, you get these stupid little nulls and things like that coming up. But as you can see, if you look at all those phone numbers, there's quite a large percentage of people on the do not call register. And this is where I find the do not mail register very helpful. So who's aware of the do not mail register in Victoria? Okay. The do not mail register is a Victorian government initiative. I can't believe I'm saying that. And it is voluntary participation. So for those of you that are fairly new to real estate, you won't have recollection of the do not call voluntary participation period. It was around about 2005 when the Victorian government asked agents to respect people's wishes voluntarily to not be contacted. And then a year later, they legislated, and in fact, you couldn't. So it's the same deal at the moment with the do not mail. It hasn't been legislated. It's entirely up to you or your principals as to the company policy as to whether you would get in touch with people on the do not mail register or not. But the do not mail register, as you can see, and this is why I love it, because you're agents, you're in the industry, and you're not aware of it, guess what? Neither is anybody else. So this is the good bit. All these do not calls, not one of them is on the do not mail register. Every no is a yes to address mail. Okay? This is your workaround. This is our only legal workaround to the Victorian privacy legislation that we can offer our clients at present. So looking at that data, I can now save it to my desktop. It's mine. I own it. I've exported it. And then I can use this data to import into Microsoft Word as the data for my mail merge. Does everybody know how to do a mail merge document? So if you don't, hands up or get onto YouTube. It's really easy to do it. I used to do it years ago in my own agency, so if I could do it, anybody can. And what happens is you write one letter, you dump all that data into that one letter, and you spit out 27 letters, all individually addressed. What type of letter would you be doing for withdrawn listings? Would you be sending them a DL? Eview, pick us, we're the best.
No, give them sales results in the area. Maybe an estimate on it, or you can't do that on a generic.
So here's how some other agencies have used it. They've written a letter specific to where they have been in the last 12 months on their real estate journey. So, hello Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Jones. It's come to our attention that you've been on the market in the previous 12 months. For whatever reason, you haven't achieved your desire to move on. Perhaps it's time to look at a fresh approach. The market's never been better. We're shorter listings. We've got lots of buyers. Then you tell them, pick us, we're the best. So something quite specific. What you're trying to achieve is to flick the on switch in their brains. You need them to pick up that phone and talk to you. And if they don't, follow up a week later with a phone call. And if they still don't talk to you, go door knock. There's lots of ways you can do it. So that's just the data that has come up in my direct marketing. There is more. Here comes the steak knives, guys. Up here in my property tab, can everybody see where my mouse is pointing? If I was to click on that, I have 177 addresses. These are what I call the Switzerlands, and if any of you are as old as me, you'd know that these were the neutral people during World War II. So these are the people who haven't opted in, but they haven't opted out either.
But are we still talking about the people who have been on the market within the last 12 months?
You bet. So we can't give you their names because they haven't technically opted in, but what we can give you is their addresses. Then you can do one of two things. You can either individually search the property, ascertain the owner, add in an extra column to your spreadsheet with owner names, do it once, and if they don't like it, don't do it again. Or alternatively, you can do a dear householder. Okay? Same procedure. You select all, and then you, down the bottom of your screen, you export it out to your CSV format. It's yours, it's in Excel, you can save it and use it accordingly. Any questions about withdrawn listings? Cool. Let's go back up into finding leads. Finding leads is really cool. I love finding leads. It sort of just tickles that little sneaky funny bone that I possess. Finding leads are people who are statistically likely to come on the market in the next 12 months. What's the average time on market in this area? Don't say.
62 days.
What about the average holding period?
About 5 or 6 years.
You were in the room. You
I
shouldn't
was,
have said
but
that.
I do it anyway.
Damn, they brought me undone. You're actually bang on the money. There is this assumption amongst agents that most people hold their properties for around 7 years. That's a national average. So what RPData does, we look at every individual suburb across Australia. We look at how long people hold their property in that suburb on average, and then we marry that up with the 1, 2 or 3 year period over which people purchased. So 5 to 6 years ago, we now marry up our data with everybody that purchased 5 to 6 years ago in the Frankston area, and they're your people who are statistically likely to come on the market in the next 12 months.
Can we find out what that period is for any given suburb? I know you
Yeah.
use the data. How do we find out that?
I'll show you.
Great.
Finding leads. Again, it's by suburb.
Can we do by our saved territory maps?
Yes,
We can.
yes, indeed
So
you can.
all of these we can do by the same territory.
But with your territory maps, we don't have withdrawn listing, finding leads, or
Okay.
listings over 60 days. It's just a way for you within your territory to contact people with addressed mail who have opted
Okay.
in.
But
Yeah?
if you like went to choose now on your side to go save territories and say you clicked one of your saved territories, would it only bring up on that territory or would it still bring
That's
up
right.
around
In the
it?
direct marketing tab, it'll only bring up
Okay,
that.
cool.
that. Yep. So have a look at the numbers here, guys. 647 people with names who are happy to be contacted. They don't know it, but they're happy to be contacted. Who are statistically likely to come on the market in the next 12 months. So again, what type of marketing material are you going to send to these people? Because it's one thing to have the people's names and addresses, but it's only the smarter agents that actually connect with those people by way of their marketing letters. So that might be something that you want to work on as a group and come up with a pretty cool letter that you can send out to people. So 647 in your direct marketing. Again, because I tend to err on the side of conservative, I would still go unlikely rental, just so that I know that I'm highly likely to be dealing with owner-occupiers. By the way, who's ever worked through a really crappy market where there's hardly any buyers? Great. They're hard work, isn't it, to get them to come out and play? You can use this by selecting likely and maybe rental and target tenants. Find a buyer. In a down market, that's what you do. You target tenants. Hey, it's never been a better time to buy. There's not much competition. Interest rates are low. It's a good way to source you buyers. So now that I've actually filtered it down on the basis of rental history, I've got 334 individuals in Frankston who are statistically likely to come on the market in the next 12 months. Let me have a look up here in my property tab, the Switzerlands. Da, 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 da. Here it comes. There must be a lot of data, which is why it's taking a long time. Generally speaking, in your property tab and finding leads, it'll almost be double or triple at times to the direct marketing list. So there's going to be a lot of data here. And again, you just select all, export out to CSV, dole it all out to your associates in their territories and share it around. I thought it'd be a lot. 1,139 property addresses of people who are statistically likely to come on the market in the next 12 months. Do you think that might just help your prospecting a little bit? Wouldn't you rather deal with people with names or people who you know are highly likely to come on the market in the next 12 months than just doing the hard yards, letterbox drops, door knocks, phone calls, just to randoms, not knowing where they're actually at in their real estate cycle? It's a really good and powerful prospecting tool, and I know it works because agents that use it properly succeed.
Now that one hasn't got the names and addresses,
No,
phone numbers or anything
because
like
they
that.
haven't opted in and they
Sure.
haven't opted out.
When
There
you
is a
come-
workaround. Let me show you.
Yeah,
I'll just grab one because if we export 1,100 properties, that'll be a nightmare. Come on. All you'll get is the address, maybe some attributes, some information about the property. What you can do is insert a column and then go into that, do an individual property search. So go and search on 9 Abbey, find out the owner's name and add it in next to that column.
But then where does contacts come in? Because I know you can get.
I'll show you the contacts before we're done today.
Great.
Yeah, let me explain that to you. You'll get that in your territory mapping. That's where you get that. Yeah.
Just get some random
Yeah, I'll explain that when we get to territory mapping. So,
You have to click on suburb and get your own suburb up, and that gets rid of that.
Yeah, it's in like
yeah, it can, but if you actually want to map out your territory, there's no workaround to it. But I'll explain why, and then all of a sudden you'll go, really? Damn. This isn't working for me, guys. But as you can see, once it's exported, it's really good. So that's finding leads. What about listings over 60 days? Who's ever picked up an old listing? How do you actually monitor that at the moment?
the market's just so good at the moment that there's not.
You're not monitoring it. Okay. But you're all listing starved. So why wouldn't you be monitoring listings over? Let's see. Let's just have a look at that. I'm not liking this internet.
Are you on your own? No one that works here.
No, I'm on yours. I'll disconnect and reconnect. Sometimes
to the hard wire. Yeah, just try that.
This one?
Move back on to 2 hours hot.
Try that.
That might make a difference.
Oh yeah, you got that.
You're recording this, aren't you? Cool. I don't know, okay, I'm talking to it.
So listings over 60 days, guys, are people who obviously would not love their agents as much as they did 59 days ago when they signed up, all keen for the agent to sell their house, right? Because they haven't sold yet, haven't got a result. So at 60-day point, you have an opportunity. And if you've been smart, when there've been new listings on the market, you've contacted them to help them as sellers, as buyers, right? Who's doing that? Good. Okay. So in my direct marketing, so there's your theory shot to pieces. There are 33 people that have opted in who have been on the market over 60 days.
Can you scroll down?
No, that's called rabbit holing. We haven't got time for that. You can do it on your own time once you're live. In my property tab, I have 143 property addresses. I mean, I know, but otherwise you guys won't get out of here if we go down holes. So there's 143 people that have been on the market 60 days or more. Gentle reminder to your legal obligations. Do not forget your disclaimer. It doesn't mean necessarily that they're out of authority. It just means that they've been on the market for a minimum of 60 days or more. Okay? Any questions about the RP Prospector panel? Okay. You will all owe the bosses a nice, decent bottle of scotch at the end of the year because it's a gift.
I see you in there helping yourself.
What's another way that you can use direct marketing? Let's have a look at our territory mapping, okay? I'm not going to show you how to map out your territories. You've clearly got a handle on that. So, but I will, while it's loading, I will explain as to why we have these ridiculous anomalies that come up.
Can we save up to that many territories?
You can save, each one of you now can have up to 25 territories each.
So you can break your patches up into multiple communities.
Yeah.
Because we had a limit before.
So here's,
5.
yeah, it used to be 5. 2 months ago they increased it to 25. Okay. So here you can see, this is a mapped out territory that I prepared earlier. Guys, please. There's 270 properties in my mapped out territory. I have no idea where the hell Narrawong is, but it's come up. It's what we call an anomaly. So let me just give you the background so at least you can understand it. It doesn't stop it from happening, but you can understand it. In Victoria, we have 3 databases in the titles office. Every other state in Australia gets by with one. What happened in the titles office when they switched from database 1 to database 2? The plan numbers for allotments, they started the numbers all over again. Instead of, say, plan number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 being the last number on database 1, they should have started database 2 with the first plan number issued being plan number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They didn't. They started all over again. Then they did it again on the third database. So the problem we've got as a data company is when somebody maps out a territory, the computer says, I know you want this, but I've found some records over here that have the same plan number as properties that you've mapped out in your territory. And I think sometimes the computer, this is sexist, but I think sometimes the computer is a bit of a girl like me and it goes, what do I do, what do I do? You know what? Take it all and you sort it out. So, which is a typical girly way of looking at shoes. Can't make up your mind, you just take both, right? So that's what I think is the theory behind why you get all the data. So this is an anomaly. The only way RPData can overcome this is to make sure it's on page 1. So your data will always be delivered in alphabetical order by address. So 1 Abbeygate, for example, would be the start of your data list if that was the mapped out territory. What you've got to do is scroll through and find out where your list actually starts. And in mine, it's 1 Ash Court Hastings. So the record above it is a dud.
If you go into location suburb,
Yes.
and you type into their Hastings,
Yes,
and then
it'll
refine,
eliminate
get
it.
rid of it.
It will. The other alternative is to select all and deselect the dodgy data records at the top of page 1. Sometimes it'll be 1 or 2, sometimes I've actually seen as many as 7. But understand, it won't be buried on page 17 somewhere, it'll always start on page 1. Okay? Now that once you've activated your direct marketing, this is my territory, 270 properties. In my direct marketing tab, I can actually now start targeting my unlikely rentals. In my direct marketing, there's 96 people in my mapped out turf out of 197 properties who have opted in. So this is an alternative way for you to use your territory mapping to actually be able to do addressed mail or use the phone lists of people that have opted in. Any questions?
If the property management department are doing it, they just tick the likely rentals.
Well, then they're targeting tenants because what we can't give you are absentee owner addresses.
So
it's
you can't
against
give
the
us
law.
absentee at all. So,
Not at all.
So even those people
And that's not our fault. I started my real estate career in Victoria in 2004 and RPData was all I ever used and it used to deliver, and David will tell you this too, it used to deliver everybody's names, addresses, phone numbers, everything. It's all down to the Victorian government privacy legislation. And now when somebody actually buys an investment property and they're doing their transfer of land form, they have to tick a box as to whether it's going to be owner occupied or investor. And if it's an investor, the titles office actually does not release their home address. So nobody can give it to you, and anybody who tells you they can are liars, they're selling you old data. Okay, so 96 people that have opted in my territory out of 197 properties. I can now export that. What about how else you're working your territories? Are you breaking your territories down to property types? Why not?
Because we haven't had this before.
Yeah, but you didn't need this to break your territory down to property types. So we know overwhelmingly in most suburbs, the highest demand amongst buyers is for 3-bedroom homes, right? Would you agree? So if I was a smart territory manager, which of course I would be looking at, in my property tab, how many houses, 3-bedroom, refine. Anybody know how to save and sort a list? Okay, let me show you how to do that. I have 103 houses that have 3 bedrooms. I'm going to select all and I'm going to save it to a list. See down the bottom where I've selected? You have an unlimited amount of lists, guys. So I would call that 3-bedroom house. And then where do I find that list when my alarm goes off and says, today you're going to prospect 3-bedroom houses? I go into my search bar. I go into my saved lists. And there's my 3-bedroom house list down here. So if you want to really work your territory smart, break it down into property types, houses versus units versus apartments versus 3 bedrooms versus 2 bedrooms versus 1 bedrooms, and start actually target marketing those people. You've got a buyer who needs a 3-bedroom house right now today. Start marketing that way. That's just a little tip along the way. Let me show you how to find your white pages, because I believe you've all struggled with that, correct?
Yes.
In the old RPData, they used to call it phones, phone lists or something. Yeah. You know, the problem with technical code writing people, they're like engineers. They just overthink stuff. They give things different names.
We have to change it.
Yeah. So let me just do a search. I'll just grab South Yarra because it's easy. You can do this on a street, a postcode, or a suburb, okay? You can't do this for an individual property. In my suburb, I have my properties, my sales history, my on the market, my market compare, My white pages is my contacts tab. You have this available to you right now. It's not an add-on, it's always been there.
I actually used this the other week and I exported some information, but it wasn't clear to me if they were owners or if they were...
That's right. Because if you sat down with a hard copy white pages and looked at people's names and numbers, does it tell you if they're the owners? Well, and that's what you have to remember with this. This is a direct feed from white pages. This is not ownership or titled data, okay? Let me show you though how to work out whether they're owners or not. So let me find somebody with a phone number. There's a couple of things with this, guys. This is washed every 30 days and 100% compliant with Victorian and federal privacy legislation. So if the phone number's in black, it means it's okay to call them. If the phone number's in red, it means they're on the do not call register, go door knock them. What it doesn't tell me though, if Ian Jones is the owner of 19 Ackland Street. So one way to work that out is to click on the address. This better give me a bloody owner name. Yes! So, scroll down on a property detail page. 9 times out of 10, please God, you'll get an owner's name. You might also be interested to know that right now, we're doing a total sweep of all Victorian data in conjunction with the Titles Office. Where you've had no ownership names coming up, by the end of this year, you'll have beautiful data in Victoria. We're going to be going back to 1930 on our sales history.
I'm in an area where there's a lot of people who haven't moved for 40 years.
Yeah.
And there's a hell of a lot in there that there's just
There's nothing.
You don't even know the land
Well, it's
size.
never been on the market, it's never been sold, it's never been rented. So, you know, they might as well be in the witness protection program because there's no data, there hasn't been the data around. Our data currently goes back to 75.
I noticed
Okay.
on Mobile Pro that they're only giving the current owner, not previous owners now. Is that right?
No.
On the app.
Yeah.
On the app, it only shows the
I've got it here ready to roll, so we'll have a look at that. I haven't noticed that myself. Okay, so I'm on the phone with Jonesy, and now I can engage with them. I can look at photos, I can talk to them about the property, and by the end of this year, you'll be able to talk to your area too. So that's one way to establish ownership before you pick up the phone and call. The other alternative is to have an awesome script, establish really quickly as to whether they're owners or tenants. So any questions about the contacts tab, where to find it? Okay, cool. I just want to bring to your attention while I am in a property detail page, a new feature which is currently available to you guys. We're not charging any extra for it. It's a new report that's available. It is a combination of a CMA and an auto val, 100% computer generated. So this is built off the back of what the banks are giving buyers, okay?
Can I give you some feedback on that? We've started using it a lot. We gave ABM to all of our clients. The only thing I'm finding is when you do an ABM, if you know they've done a $200,000 renovation, you can change the build quality to slightly better or much better or anything. You can't do that in the property report.
No, you can't.
So the
It's-
ABM often comes in
Exactly.
much lower than it should.
and the computer has no clue as to whether it's beachside, highway side, whether there's views, whether you're looking at an industrial estate. It's all there. So, but how do you get it? You just click on it. You can put a name there. You can choose to include or uninclude the auto val.
Yeah, so,
So you can untick it if you want to. And you can generate a report. This is a really cool little report. It's great to give to buyers to give them confidence in a purchase they're about to make. It'll give them information about what's happening in the area, recent sales, but understand it's 100% computer generated. There's no input from you whatsoever.
Just when they're coming up with the values on that, I'm finding that they're not calculating capital growth since purchase
No.
at all. It's not
They
taking
should.
that into account.
They should. Normally we know the percentage in each area of capital growth, and that is one of the algorithms that's actually used. What the computer, though, doesn't understand is shit hot market versus down market.
No,
So-
like where there's rural property bordering on standard
Standard
homes.
homes, yeah.
It's calculating the standard homes because they sell more.
More
So
of,
then rural
yeah.
properties that sold for 550 3 years ago, which are probably up around 700 or 800,
Yeah.
are calculating at 350.
Yeah.
So like it's
It's not factoring it in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't give you a workaround to that one.
right.
But here's the report. It's a simple little 11-page report. That's our cover. And why is it our cover, not an Eview cover? Well, because it's our opinion, not your opinion. It's an independent third-party opinion that you can use with your buyers and your sellers. So it gives you the information about it. It'll give you a bit of photos, attributes, aerial and cadastral picture where the cadastral map's playing right. If it's not, you'll get a blank space like that. Property detail. You'll get an auto val estimate if you've ticked the box for the auto val. This one's a medium confidence, so the interpretation is
Showing
underneath.
$1 million less than they paid for it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, well that's why you untick the box.
I haven't had one in the last month that I reckon's even close to good val.
Yeah.
And
I don't use auto val. I wouldn't use auto val, and I would do an auto val independently of this. And I would, if it sings the song I wanted to say, then I'd include it in this report. But if it
So-
doesn't, then I wouldn't include it.
So you can take the property
You can
valuation
untick
off
it.
Yes, you can.
Untick it before you start. Yeah.
But you also get an auto val on a CMA, don't you?
No, you
Now,
don't.
what's the difference? Because that often comes
It
up
comes up with a figure. That's our auto val figure, but you can change it.
Yeah, I know.
That's
I
the
can edit it and
difference,
all that
yeah,
sort, and I do.
yeah.
But is what the figure that
Same
comes up on the
numbers.
it's the same numbers?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
If you take the auto val portion out of it though, what's the benefit of this over a CMA?
It does, this
Well-
does show capital growth. It shows.
It's very good. Let me continue, and you'll see for yourself. The difference with a CMA is you handpick and choose the comparable properties. So the level of expertise and accuracy on comparables is going to be much higher when you prepare a CMA. This is not a replacement to the CMA. This is an alternative or a support tool that you can use with your buyers and your sellers as an independent third-party report. A CMA's got your name all over it because it's your opinion. This is not your opinion.
So the automated valuation we get in a CMA is going to be based on the ones that we've selected, and this is going to be based
Yeah.
on 3-bedroom,
Exactly.
two-car spots, and land sites.
Exactly. So as I go further down, it gives me the last sale campaign, any rental campaign, property sale history, on the market history, any rental history attached to the property as well. In addition to that, recently sold properties in the area as handpicked by the computer, properties for sale in the area, and this is not a good area because it's a high auction area, so the properties they're grabbing aren't really good. Properties for rent, South Yarra Insights, and this is the part of this report that I do like because it's very visual. Number sold in 12 months versus the median sale price. Then we've also got the numbers sold by price. Yes, you're right, it's available in the CMA. This is not in the CMA, and I'm really pushing and lobbying for it to be included in the CMA. And by the way, the CMA is getting an overhaul later this year. You're going to see even a schmicker one coming out. So I'm hoping that they're going to include this because I think this is really important when you're talking to your vendors about the longer you're on the market, how less desirable the property becomes and how prices start going down. So this is actually your average days on market versus your average vendor discounting. So it's a very powerful little visual one. Then you've got your median value for the last 2012 to 2016, last 4 years, median asking rent, and of course the disclaimer. Who gets rid of the disclaimers when they're doing hard copies?
No, that.
Good. I was going to say,
Don't go there.
they're there to protect you and the company you work for. So
I
that's,
wondered about that. Is that disclaimer for RPData, or is that?
it's us,
we
it's
cover-
you,
it's us as
it's
well.
them, it's the whole shebang. Yeah, and that's why you must include it, because it's designed to help you out here in a bad day.
With the days on market, is there any way of doing a median as opposed to an average? Because there's always a handful of properties that just stay on the market, they never sell,
Yeah,
just blow everything out.
not at this stage.
Yeah.
I mean, this is new, it's, you know, so.
It's
It's, the beauty about RPData is being owned by CoreLogic, the largest data company in the world, is they just throw buckets of money at R&D all the time. And, the benefit is you guys as end users get these cute little products that come on. They don't even cost you any extra. So look, that's the property report, that's how it works, that's the capacity in which you can use it. You can switch off the auto val. I would strongly recommend, and I tell all my Bayside agents with auto vals, don't depend on them, because the computer hasn't got a clue whether you're beachside, highway side, etc. So, and same with your rural properties as well. Who's got the new iPad app? Guys, you need to, and it's the same, it's now the new iPhone app as well. So it's one app, works on the iPad and iPhone. So if you've been using the old Mobile Pro, what you need to do is completely delete it from your product and go to the App Store and get the new app and install that. It's free, you just need your username and login, username and password.
What about Android?
Android, no, not yet. But they're always lag behind with Android because the majority of people use iPads and iPhones. So let me just untangle
I
some.
want to re-cancel people.
Android's the best. I prefer it. I can't use iPhone now, like since I converted to Samsung. I go onto it and I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah, understand.
Well, that's why I've stuck with all the Apple stuff, because I just don't want to learn anything.
Yeah, don't. Because then you can't go back either.
Learning new technologies down the head.
Mm.
What am I doing here? I need to get on the internet. Where's my settings? Wi-Fi.
G'day, Terry, just a quick one. I'm just in Frankston at the moment.
Sorry, I'll be back to that.
Yeah,
We'll be wrapped up in
yeah, I'm just
about
doing
5 minutes,
some RP
guys,
training.
and we've got
Some
lots of
RP
questions.
data training. No, you didn't know. I didn't know either. So I'll give you a call back. Cheers, mate.
If I've known that, I will put on my happy face. Thank you, Oscar. Okay, let's have a look at the new Mobile Pro. So as you can see, this is what the icon is for the new one. It's the same for the iPhone, guys. The Android is still running on the old Mobile Pro system, but for people with iPhones and iPads, the old Mobile Pro is going to be decommissioned, okay, very soon, within a couple of weeks. So you need to update it. It's a beautiful, beautiful app. I love the way it looks and feels. No, but it'll still be on an Android platform. So the old version will still be on the Android platform until they upgrade it. But in the meantime, for iPhone and iPad, they need the new app. So this is what it looks like when you first log in. Anybody used this app before on the new one?
Not the new one.
Okay, so it's a completely different look and feel. And this is, what I'm showing you on the iPad is exactly what you'll have on an iPhone, okay? So I could do, let me see. Let me grab this one. No, that's not even a good one. Let's not grab that one. Anybody want to chuck an address at me?
3 at 90 Nursery. Oh, do you want a sale property or
A recently sold would be good.
recent sale? 546 Baroni Road, Montana.
There it is. So let me run through where to find stuff so you can access stuff. So you can see at the top there you've got your basic attributes. When it was last sold, who sold it, and the settlement date. It did not do an auto val. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Wanturna is a very long held area. It's just about to explode, so in my mind. And a lot of people bought in the 70s and 80s and they've never sold. So the data's a bit scant for that area. If there is an ownership that's available, it will come up. Marketing contacts, these are the people that have opted in. Property history, so you can see there I've got all selected. So it'll give me the listings and the sales throughout the history there. But if I just wanted to look at the sales history, I would select sale. Same with listing or rental. I don't think there is a rental history for this particular property. So that's where you get your sales history. If you just want sales history, you select it. Scrolling further down, most recent listing description. Oh, somebody used all their man words in one day. Land use and zoning. And see additional information will give you Melway's reference, sometimes volume and folio number. Sometimes. It's a work in progress. Going further down. Oh, this is not a good property at all, David. I might grab another one. Oh, I'm gonna get my son's property. That's that.
13 Taldra Crescent in Seaford.
Actually, let's go back to. Let's get out of that. Let's find one that actually has data.
Yeah, sold this one 3 times.
Okay, which one?
13 Taldra, T-A-L-D-R-A, Crescent. Yeah.
What's wrong with it? Why have you sold it 3 times?
It's got a ghost.
Okay, so let's keep scrolling down. So this one has come up with an auto val, guys. We've got an auto val on this one, and the deviation's 8%, so it should be bang on. Okay, you all understand what that FSD means? Yeah. If it's 10% or under, it's going to be bang on market value. But again, don't forget, the computer doesn't know it's a hot market. Okay.
Is that right, Dan?
It just sold for 516.
And it's calculating at 463.
It just sold for 515.
Well, that's the that's the estimated value. So the deviation is the estimated value plus 8% or minus 8%.
So would you get
516.
Yeah.
Just
Just outside. So we actually have an owner's name, and guess what? Mr. Mayor is also opted in for marketing. Looking at all our history here, we've got our listing history, we've got our sales history, and there's even more events going further down the page. Then we've got our listing description, land use and zoning. Sometimes we get zoning, sometimes we don't. As you know, Victoria recently changed all their zones in the last couple of years. So again, that's a work in progress with us. Similar properties nearby. So we all know RPData thinks it's really clever, right? So RPData says, hey, here's some properties really close to this other property that you've sold or that you're looking up. I can look at recently solds for sales or for rents. And I can actually flick through the pictures like this, just swiping it with my index finger. Or alternatively, I can go down and select view full details, in which case it will open up a separate property detail page for me to have a more detailed view of that property. And it doesn't just finish with those 4. You can actually swipe across and it'll just keep adding properties to it for you. Okay? You can also look at comparables on a map. And I love this. You can tick the boxes of whether you just want recently sold or on the market. This is a really powerful tool when you're actually talking to your vendors. If you've got an iPad and they want to know about properties that have sold around them or what's on the market around them, just by clicking on a bubble, it'll bring up that information about that property and with pictures eventually. And I can actually click on that and it will open it up into a property detail page. So you can have a really detailed look at photos of the property with the owner if you wish. So it's a really cool little tool, the maps. I love the maps. And you can also search for similar properties. You can, just by clicking on a photo, it'll open up and you'll have all the photography on a property. Eventually. Must have lots of pictures, that one. I'll just close it. You get the gist of what I'm talking about. Further down the page, we've got Seaford Insights. So we've got the median value for houses, and then we've also got the number that have sold. Along the side here, and I like this, there's 6.34% of stock on the market. The average days on market is 56 days. The average vendor discounting is a negative 5.04%. And the total of value of sales is $144.92 million. So they're amazing numbers, but that's also very powerful in front of a vendor to actually say, well, you know, it's going to take an average of 56 days to get your property sold.
Yeah, the median should be in there because nothing is on the market for 56 days. Like everything will sell.
It's selling
in
quicker.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
There's
it's those
probably 5
longer
properties
ones
that have been on the market forever
that are fudging.
and it's never going to sell. So
Yeah.
that 56 days.
Well, we look at everything that's on the market, and it's an average of all of those numbers.
Yeah,
That,
I
you know, and
understand
that,
that.
I
Yeah,
know,
the
and
median would be bang on.
and that's where you have your commentary and you
Yeah.
talk to owners about that. You know, I used to work down at Mornington, and the difference between a property here versus a property there could effectively be $500,000. And when they were talking about median prices for Mornington, it was very important, depending on where that property was located, how I spoke to my vendor about how long it's going to take them to sell it and the type of median pricing amongst those types of properties. Again, RPData is a tool.
Yeah.
It doesn't alleviate you from being the local area expert.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just.
It is what it
That's
is.
just one stat that I'd love to
I agree with
change.
Dan, it can't be that hard for the computer guy up in data to be able to, median's easy to find, you take away the top 5% and the bottom 10% or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just the
It
little
can't be
piece
that
of
hard to
data.
key in, I don't understand why they wouldn't do that.
Because they've got to, I understand your frustrations, I'm hearing what you're saying, but at the end of the day, they are the statistics, and RPData's reputation is based on the statistics. We're a statistical company.
Yeah, and it's a mathematical
Yeah.
fact.
You know what else fudges figures? You look at areas like Cranbourne and Pakenham where there's a lot of new estates and developers are selling house and land packages. This annoys the bejesus out of me, because they start marketing before they've even turned a piece of soil, and then when the developer sold that house and land package and somebody's moved in, they're still advertising it for sale.
Yeah.
Because the developers don't want to pay for a new listing on REA. So and it fudges the time on market figures like you wouldn't believe. But there's nothing we can do about it because it's still technically on the market, you know. So that's how that works. Let me show you some other features that you'll love, rather than getting bogged down on the data. Up here, oh, where's it gone?
Just plug it in again. It should come up.
Come on, play nice. Oh my God. There you go, my life. So this is the actual target property. Again, you can scroll through the photos or you can click on the photos and it'll open up. Up the top here, you've got some icons. So the one on the left, the upside down teardrop, that's for your maps. The star is so you can save this property as a favourite. You can go back to it later. The other one, the little page with the PDF icon in it, is so that you can actually create a CMA for sales, for rent, an auto val and a property detail report. And then where the little dots are, you've got a drop-down list of other things you can do. So if you click on the PDF, you can launch a browser for your sales CMA, do a CMA on the spot and email it directly to your client. It's pretty impressive. I've got some agents out at Baronia using this, and his on the spot listing strike rate has increased 7-fold because of the demographic there. Everybody's in their 30s, 40s, 50s, they're young, they're dynamic, they're, you know, I want answers now. I don't want you to come here, look at the property, go away, do a report, come back another time. Jesus, just tell me what the hell it's worth. So he's using the iPad for that purpose, and he is listing on the spot. Strike rate has just increased so much.
Is that Archie?
I can't say, but he's very good. So it's exactly the same as your desktop version. Has anybody set up templates in the desktop version? Okay, we'll do another session on that another day. You'd be mad if you don't.
Oh, is it
But-
CMA templates?
Yeah, CMA templates. The beauty about this, and even some of my colleagues didn't know this, the templates that you set up on your desktop version is picked up on the iPad app, and you can apply those templates when you're doing your CMA. So just be aware of that. It's a really cool tool. And you just run your CMA like you normally would, and then you email it out in PDF to your owner. Don't forget to CC yourself in on it, so you've got a copy too. Any questions about the new Mobile Pro app? And because it's still new, there'll be more features added in as time goes on. So it'll just get better and better and better. You've got a map down the bottom, you've got your aerial, you've got your cadastral. Any questions? Do you think that it's a technology that you're going to enjoy using? You've also got an option of a property detail report. I just want you to know, this is a great little tool if you run out of brochures at an open and you want to send information to a buyer. It will strip out the owners and the marketing names. So you can send it with confidence. It'll give them all the information about the property, the sales history, the rental history, what the people paid for it, all of that, but it won't give them the ownership names. So again, it's a quick and handy tool. If you're on the road, a buyer wants to know more, you can do it straight out of your phone. Is there anything else I can help you with before I take off?
Just one subject we talked before about knowing what the average holding time for a particular suburb was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, thank you for the reminder. I'll jump out of here and quickly jump back into there.
This has all been taped, so it'll be on YouTube. So if you want, we'll get Oscar to send a link out over this hour. Cool. And you can all have another look at it and get everybody else to study.
Thank you. We have to go.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So let's have a look at the average time on market. So if I jump into my home page, I thought it might have booted me out.
What I've been doing is looking at, I guess, different suburbs, and I look at the number of properties that have sold in the last 12 months, or year by year, because that data's there as a ratio of what's the population of that suburb, and I get a turnover rate, if you like, of 4%, 5%, whatever it is. So if you, and this is just another way.
This is a really cool tool. So when you go into finding leads and you get the results, this is where you can work out your average holding time for a suburb. So if I go down here to finding leads, and I say, well, we know what Frankston is because...
Where's yours, Chelsea?
Aspendale.
To Aspendale.
Aspendale. So not a lot of units in Aspendale, not enough unit data.
It's all houses.
Yeah. So in my direct marketing, I've got that. But if I jump into my property tab, okay, this is how you find out. If you have a look at the history in your property tab, you'll see here you've got 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
So I would probably suggest only a few years in there.
Okay, so it's not
13, 14 and 15.
Yeah, okay, so it's not giving you a...
What I'm looking at here...
It's not giving you a suburb average holding time or anything like that.
Well, it is actually. Because what I'm looking at in finding leads, these are people who are statistically likely to come on the market in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking in the property, the actual data in the property over here, you can see the sale date of when they actually purchased.
Yeah.
So
okay,
I'd suggest...
But the people likely to come on, statistically, are not the people who've had it for a year, and they're not the people who've had it for 20 years. They're the people who are in that sort of mid-zone.
2013, 2014. So the average holding period's 2 to 3 years in your area?
Absolutely not.
Well, why
it's
is
full
it?
It's people who have been in there for 20, 30, 40 years.
Is it that old?
Absolutely.
I must be in the wrong
You're
term.
probably thinking Aspendale Gardens, because
It's full of 80-year-old people who say they're
Yeah.
going out in a box, and it's doing my head in.
I live there, I know.
Do you? I don't know that. Yeah. But you
Do you have a card?
Yeah.
Can I come back to you on that one? I might need to check that with our guys, because this is telling me.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, from what I understand of the likely to come on, it will ignore the people who've been there for 100 years.
Yeah.
Because if they've been there for 100 years, they're not going to be like
Go anywhere.
It's going to ignore the people who've just
Yeah.
gone in, and it's going to say, hey, okay,
So the
our
numbers
sweet
are
spot-
saying for Aspendale right now that the
our sweet
turnover is
spot
every
the
2 to
pe-
3 years.
Our sweet spot is the people who've been there 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Our sweet spot, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the average hold.
It's because all the people pre-1975, their data won't be
They're
the
not in
system.
there.
So it just calculates.
No, but what we're looking at is those that have sold last year.
But I mean,
What
if
was
you-
the year that they bought?
but if you go to the
Okay, and
general
we're
market,
marrying that data up with the people that have held their properties that long.
You do say, let's do a search of Glen Street. Glen Street, Aspendale, just as an average. And not on, based on the likely to sell, just the general
Just a general
population.
search, yeah.
And
Come
you'll
on.
see that there's a number, because there is some turnover surely, but you'll also see a lot where there's no data.
Glen?
Yeah, Glen went 1, I think, Street. Aspendale, there you go.
But that will be changing by the time this year's done.
Yeah, that'll help.
So you've got 53 properties in Glen Street, data ranging 1297, 2015, 2002, 2003, 2001, 2005, 87, 98. So
Yeah, okay.
they're there, but according to the statistics, people who bought in 2012 and 13 and 14 in your area are the ones likely to come on the market in the next 12 months. And that's working on the majority of people that have sold when they bought. The average holding period for the area right now, according to the numbers, is 2 to 3 years. Cranbourne works on 3 years. Mount Eliza's 15. Warrandyte's 20. 6 to 7, 5 to 6 here. So it changes from area to area. Did you have any other questions? Has that covered off? Yeah,
Yeah.
you're happy with that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
lovely to do.
great.
That's nice to know.
Okay. I
It's gone
know.
way over. We
Yeah.
said 15,
20 minutes, yeah. That's cool.
Thank you.
Sorry for the technical issues and having to move the car. I'll have everybody up. I'll come back another day. If you want to learn anything else, just let me know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.